many hours of Pokemon, it's unspeakable, but they've made it. They've clawed through over 200 other competitors to become the final 2 remaining at the top table.
Now, you mentioned Dane's deck, Virgen Genesect. Throughout this season, if there's one deck that has been used to counter Seismitoad EX the most, it is Virgen Genesect. Oh, but now when you start with Jirachi.
Nope. Starting with Jirachi, pretty bad. However, I guess Dane does run one card that is available to us now and expanded that can help you mitigate that situation, and it's going to be that Sky Arrow Bridge.
Yeah, Sky Arrow Bridge, that stadium card that gives your basic Pokemon one less retreat cost. That's going to be huge. A big strategy for Seismitoad EX decks in the standard format is, you use your Crushing Hammers, your Team Flare Grunts, and all that stuff to stop a Pokemon from being able to attack. And the retreat cost is usually a big deal. You can Lysander something out and kind of trap it there. But with Sky Arrow Bridge, it is much easier to use your attacks because you can just retreat for free.
So we do see an Ultra Ball. We do see Grass Energy, of course, attaching to the Virgen. Some of those old school e-reader energies.
Oh, man. Jimmy Ballard would be proud.
He would.
So they were going to start off, even though it's a Jirachi start, that's not a big deal for Dane. He gets the Virgen EX into play. He really needs to find a tool, though. He wants to find Muscle Band, otherwise Head Ringer can slow him down.
And he passes. Now, one interesting thing, he opts, I guess, he has so many energy in hand already. Sometimes I would think, oh, do you want to play that Professor's Letter now so that you can get some more energy into your hand? You're about to go under item lock. But if he ever does want to Emerald Slash, if you have too many energy that you've gone through, you actually can't add any new ones from your deck.
Right. So we see an Ultra Ball from Jason, and I think going into this, he knows this is a horribly unfavorable matchup. Virgen EX resists water, Verdant Wind shuts off Hypnotoxic Laser, and it has weakness advantage over Seismitoad EX as well. And if you ever manage to power up Genesect EX, that Megalo Cannon just knocks out Seismitoad EX in one hit. So if Dane can start using Emerald Slash, this matchup goes downhill very quickly.
But if there's anybody who can fight an uphill battle, it's Jason Klaczynski. He knows how to methodically destroy even the toughest matchups. And when your opponent starts Jirachi, that is one piece of the puzzle.
Right. So we do see an Ultra Ball going for Seismitoad EX right away. One of the downsides of Jason's deck is there is no alternate strategy, right? If you face a bad matchup, you don't have like, oh yeah, maybe I'll just use a different type of attacker. His only attacker is Seismitoad EX. So even if Quaking Punch isn't effective against a certain type of deck, it's his only option.
Yeah, you kind of have to do it. You don't really have any other way to stop decks. You've built your entire deck around the Quaking Punch. You live and you fall by the Quaking Punch. Said it so many times. Quaking Punch, Quaking Punch.
And we see that Super Scoop Up, Jason's best friend right now after that match in the top 4. We hit that beautiful heads on the Super Scoop Up to save the game. Looks like he flips another heads on that. Puts down Burbank City Gym and is going to set up for 4 cards.
Welcome to Comboville, because we've got so many times it's like Ultra Ball, Shaman, Ultra Ball, Shaman, set up. We still don't see a double colorless yet, but he has so many other cards that he can play to eventually make that available to him.
Yeah, if you're Jason, the biggest card you want to hit right now is Head Ringer or Crushing Hammer and heads on that. You cannot afford to let Dane get a turn 2 Emerald Slash and power up a second Virgen EX. That's almost game over.
So we do see Ultra Ball digging. Yeah, he would certainly love to slap this Virgen EX down with a Head Ringer.
Right, so see another Ultra Ball. We're going to see a second Shaman EX, most likely, and there it is. He'll be able to draw at least 4 cards off this, maybe 5 if he has another one he can put down.
So it seems, Jason already in a position to at least find the tools he needs, just needs to draw them, but he's certainly going to have a lot of opportunities for it. You still need double. You would love a Muscle Band. You'd love some ways to discard energy, but those things will come when your Shamans come to you.
Yeah. This is a pretty sharp contrast in the decks we see here. A Seismitoad Shaman taking full advantage of all of those Roaring Skies cards. Shaman EX, Trainer's Mail, Absol. Dane, I don't know if he runs a single card from the new set. This is almost a complete throwback to a deck you would just see last season.
It's pretty wild. You can go old school, but it just happens to be so good. Oftentimes, another deck players play because it beats Toad most of the time. But we do see Jason hit heads here and discard that energy off Virgen EX. Very crucial.
Yeah, that's a huge play. The only way Seismitoad really beats this matchup is if you constantly discard their energy. Even though Emerald Slash can get a bunch of energy in play, it does cost 2 energy. So, if every time you slap down an energy and your opponent discards it, you potentially might not ever be able to attack.
Now, has Jason played a supporter yet this turn?
Probably not.
If he hasn't, he has some options for more draw, but he actually hasn't found the double colorless yet.
Yeah, I know he held on to a Versus Seeker. There is a Professor Sycamore in the discard pile, so at the very least he should be able to draw some more cards here and keep digging further and further to pull off that first turn Quaking Punch.
So this Jirachi already under a lot of trouble with that Verbing City Gym play. It's now poisoned. Sure, Dane could remove that by activating Virizian's Verdant Wind with the grass energy, but you're almost never going to want to actually attach to Jirachi.
Yeah, Jason has a decision here. He has a Versus Seeker. He could grab Professor Sycamore, or he had AZ. He could use that just to pick up Shaman and put it back down. Looks like he's going to opt for that Professor Sycamore, though. Guarantee himself 7 cards.
Here we go. Still needs a double. Oh, computer search. That's a double.
Yeah.
And, nothing else is a double, but, Headringer, too. Lots of good stuff coming.
Yeah, the Headringer is going to be interesting. I think Jason will wait to play Headringer. He's going to see where Dane puts his next energy, and then the Headringer will follow the energy.
Yeah, if he plays it first, Dane can be like, okay, well, I'll attach to the other one then.
Right. So yeah, even though he draws it this turn, I'm sure he's happy to see it. He's going to be patient and just wait.
Almost wonder, like, obviously, it's you can't always think this deep in advance, but I wonder, if you hold the second Virizian, maybe Jason would be more tempted to throw that Headringer down now.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen that before. All right, so there is the computer search. Double colorless, most certainly incoming. And Quaking Punch, I don't think Jason has missed a turn 1 Quaking Punch yet.
Nope. But there's a reason why. He has such a consistent deck. You've seen so many other players play things like Crawdaunt, play things like Floatstone and Keldeo. Jason's only tech is like the one Dragology, the one Skrell, the one Absol.
Yep.
Still running the 4 full Shaman. Not all the other Toad players have been doing that either. But Jason understands the value of being able to draw your entire deck no matter what.
It's pretty good. So we see the Quaking Punch already putting on lots of pressure on Jirachi EX with that laser in Verbank, and it's going to stay asleep, so that'll take away any Sky Arrow Bridge play where Dane could maybe play one down and then retreat. So Jirachi is going to go down to the poison damage, and he does put down that poor Dedenne as a sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense as the play. You definitely don't want to start getting any damage on the Virizian EX. He's probably going to be hit with the Headringer at least on that one, meaning at least one more turn where he can't do an Emerald Slash, and Tails on the Crushing Hammer. Jason, if he hits another heads on that, that sets him back another turn.
Yeah, I think if he hits heads on that Crushing Hammer, he would actually wait another turn to play Headringer. Just be happy to Quaking Punch.
Wait to see where the energy follows.
Yeah, but he might have to play Professor Sycamore here, and if he does that, the Headringer definitely goes on for his EX. Seismitoad doesn't do a lot of damage against Virgen EX, but those item cards are what keep you in the game.
Yeah, 10 at a time. That's not a lot. And, it certainly looks...
30 with a muscle band.
Oh, you're right. 30. But no poison damage.
Right.
So we're talking many, many turns to deal 170 damage, like 6. It's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long battle to try to knock out a Virgen EX with Quaking Punch if they have grass energy on it. So we did see Trainer's Mail grabbing an N, and there is that Headringer, that Team Flare tool that's going to make Virgen EX pay 1 more to have to attack.
Yeah, pretty unpleasant present. I see he doesn't run like any kind of Xerasic to remove it, so he's got it stuck.
Yeah, he actually does run a Tool Retriever, but you can't play that when you can't play item cards.
No, you cannot. Yeah, supporters only from here on out.
Pretty much.
It's going to be hard. Even if Dane does end up getting like enough energy to start running through the lock, I would be shocked if Jason is not Quaking Punch for the rest of the game.
Yeah. I mean, he might Quaking Punch and still get knocked out every turn, but he's going to Quaking Punch.
Live and die by the punch.
So there we see Dedenne actually holding down the fort a little bit, eats a Quaking Punch for 50 damage. Jason unable to find that Hypnotoxic Laser. Dane also drawing a Skyla for the turn, but he already has Professor Juniper. Gonna play that and get a fresh hand of 7.
Skyla actually not horrible, I guess, compared to some of the other supporters. You can Skyla for an item. It's certainly not going to help you in this matchup, but it could be used just when you're playing a slow game like this. You can Skyla and find yourself a new supporter with Skyla.
Right, and Jason here, this is where things are starting to get scary. He needs to find Crushing Hammer. That Tails he flipped last turn was really big. You know, if you can keep 0 energy on Virgen EX every turn, you're in a safe place. Here, there's already 2. If he doesn't find Crushing Hammer this turn, you gotta think Emerald Slash is coming.
Yeah, and that's a lot of energy. And even in this matchup as well, because there is the Lysander trump card now, that can bring your energy back. Sometimes you'd sort of run out of energy in a long game with the Virizians, but he's going to have a lot of energy attachments incoming as long as he does get that. We do see another Absol Cursed Eyes, moving those 3 counters from Dedenne, already starting to put some work on the Virizian.
Yeah, Quaking Punch is going to knock out Dedenne anyway. I actually think if Jason could have used Absol again and not knocked out Dedenne, it actually would have been better. I think he would actually prefer that. Force Dane to have the Sky Arrow Bridge to retreat and also an energy. So if he can find a Super Scoop Up and actually not knock out the active, that might be the better move.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, we've seen excellent cards where their main utility was you play them down, they drop 1 damage counter, and that's great. In this situation, since Jason had the knockout already, that's essentially 3 damage from 1 Pokemon.
And here we go, Crushing Hammer, one big flip coming up.
Tails on this one. We might actually see an Emerald Slash this game.
Yeah, I mean, it takes time, but you have time when it takes so long to knock out Virgen EX. You saw the look on Jason's face after he flipped Tails on that hammer. He knew how big that one was.
And even though he's potentially going up 3 prizes here, he knows the game can quickly get out of control once these Virizians start Emerald Slashing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many prizes you're up when you're doing 30 damage a turn and you're getting knocked out at 2 hits.
Yeah, no more poison. He's burning out a Hypnotoxic Laser. Quaking Punch.
Yeah, he has no option there. You kind of have to Quaking Punch. You can't give your opponent item cards. That's just going to make the situation even worse. You know you're getting hit by Emerald Slash, but you don't want him to be able to play all sorts of cards.
And here we go. And
Ooh,
N as
man.
well. Really damaging for Jason because he has already taken those 3 prize cards. Both players shuffle their hands in their deck. Draw a card for each prize remaining. Dane getting a full 6. That's great. Jason getting half of that, 3. That's not great.
Yeah, the tides are about to turn, I would think. Emerald Slash can hit for 100. Power up that next Virgen EX. Again, it just takes so long for Seismitoad to knock out Virgen EX, especially without Hypnotoxic Laser. We can see this game turn around very quickly.
The only way I can see Jason truly turning it around is if he got some kind of double hammer. His hand is actually very poor. Energy, Seismitoad, Headringer. Not even something to draw additional tools right now.
Yeah, here we have the Emerald Slash from Dane, and I was going to say, does he not have any energy left? But he has exactly 2 grass energy in his deck.
Could be maybe, well, I'm not sure if Jason has deduced that yet, just because he's attached them, but those hammers are going to be more important than ever, and if Jason can't draw into more of them, it's just going to be, it's going to be brutal.
Yeah, and I mean, some of them might be in Dane's hand. Emerald Slash can only take them out of your deck. So he's not particularly out of energy, but he just only had 2 in his deck.
So Jason draws Versus Seeker. Definitely great considering how borderline unplayable his last hand was.
Yeah. So he'll be able to take back some supporter card here. Looks like, he's going for the trump card.
Interesting.
I think he has used a lot of Crushing Hammers, so he's keeping that in mind. His only way to win is going to be Crushing Hammer at this point. Even with what's on board, Dane could just win the game with Emerald Slash.
What a rough play that you have to do. And on top of that, that actually does put grass back into Dane's deck, giving him even more acceleration off Emerald Slash.
So yeah, you can see just how poor of a matchup this is for Seismitoad EX decks.
How hot did Jason run those first few turns? You know, you just need... It's not even, I don't even know if miracle's the right word. You just need everything. You need everything to beat this.
Pretty much, yeah. That's why people have been playing Virizian Genesect. I would say Virgen Genesect does not beat a lot of some of the big decks right now.
Oh, no.
This would not do well against a Mega Rayquaza deck. This would not do
Gets
well
rolled
against those
by it.
Flareon or Night March decks.
Also gets rolled most of the time, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. This is almost a direct counter to Seismitoad EX, predicting that this would be a big deck.
And that's why often you see this as a day 2 play or an expanded play. A lot of players, if they know they have to run through the 9 rounds of Swiss day 1 or however many you get, maybe you want to run something that can beat everything. But day 2, when the field has whittled down, if you know that a good majority of that field is Toad, this risk can pay off huge.
Oh, yeah. So we see a Skyla for Dane. He gets to search for any trainer card. Probably going to take a supporter card with this, like Professor Juniper, which can draw him some extra cards. At this point, I really wonder how many more things he's going to put on his bench. Sometimes putting Genesect EX into play is a liability. If a head ringer goes on to it, if it gets Lysandered active, it becomes an awkward situation where you just don't have enough energy to attack and it can get stuck there. So I think he might just stick with Virgen EX. Just 2-hit knockouts. That works.
I kind of like that play, 8 energy in play, split between 2 Virgen. You make yourself not prone to hammer, here we go. Another Emerald Slash likely incoming, and that'll knock out the Toad, giving Dane his first 2 prize cards, and by the look of this matchup, those will not be his last.
He actually opted not to grab more energy out of the deck to put on the bench for Virgen EX. Maybe he's just scared of running out of them. Maybe he thinks, well, I have 4 on the active. What's really going to happen?
I think I would actually like to see them all spread around. I don't even think you need Genesect at this point.
Yeah, now one of the dangers of just using Virgen EX is you can give Seismitoad players a little bit of time. If Jason, he's going to use Sky Return and then promote Absol, and Virgen EX can't knock out Absol in 1 hit, or he could even promote another Shaman EX. Without Genesect EX to do the big damage, it can be difficult to put more pressure on your opponent.
It can. It is interesting, though, because now he has access to the Genesect. He could even slap a Muscle Band down somewhere. Tool Retriever, too, is now back in play. Now that Quaking Punch lock is over, Dane is in a great spot to start powering whatever he wants up, and he can pull anything up with this Red Signal ability. Attaching one of those Plasma Energy to a Genesect gives it basically a free Lysander.
Yeah, 1 turn of item cards is going to be enormous for Dane. You can see just why you should never stop using Quaking Punch if you can help it. Jason, of course, couldn't help it. If he uses Quaking Punch there, he's doing 10 damage. Just going to get hit by Emerald Slash for 100. He actually needed a Sky Return to get more cards with the setup. But yeah, that 1 turn, the Tool Retriever removes the Head Ringer. Now he gets to put a Muscle Band on Genesect. An Emerald Slash probably incoming to put more energy on Genesect, and this is a big snowball effect.
You can see the second that lock drops, he's already played 3 different items this turn, and I'm not surprised if those are the last. Look at this. You can play the VS Seeker, you can play the Ultra Ball, you can play Energy Switch. He has so many openings now.
Yeah, he may Energy Switch. If he had 2 of them, he could actually Megalo Cannon this turn. That would be pretty devastating. He's going to Energy Switch, trying to decide which Virgen to move the energy off of. Since the active doesn't have a Head Ringer anymore, he feels comfortable moving the 4th energy off. And we'll probably see the Emerald Slash this turn, powering up Genesect. And
there we go.
The clock is ticking for Jason.
Yeah, he's going to have to pull out all the stops because now Dane is threatening a Pokemon that can one-shot his Seismitoads.
Yeah.
One-shot anything in his deck, really.
At this point, there are 4, 7, 9 energy in play. Even if Jason hits every Crushing Hammer he plays from here on out, it might be too late.
Yeah, he's going to need all of his Crushing Hammer, another trump card. There just aren't enough tools in the world for Toad to overcome this.
Yeah. And that's just type advantage. Weakness is a big factor in the Pokemon TCG, and resistance as well. Virgen Genesect has it all. Weakness, resistance, and an ability that shuts off Hypnotoxic Laser. The perfect counter.
You know how in the Pokemon video games you have all the typed gyms, so you'll just sort of come in with your own stacked team. It's like, oh, Lieutenant Surge coming up. Here's all my ground types. You lose. Dane just created this Virgen Genesect deck so that he could beat all the water-type gym leaders.
And Jason is the ultimate gym leader
Oh,
for
yeah.
the water type, it seems, today.
This is the champions battle right here.
We see a Tails on Crushing Hammer, so that world where he flips heads on everyone is not a reality, apparently.
This is Jason's darkest timeline.
And he continues to power up Shaman EX, maybe thinking the only way he could do any reasonable damage is through Sky Return.
How sad is that when Sky Return is your most powerful attack?
Yep. Yeah, I really don't know what Jason's game plan could be at this point. His damage output is almost nothing. Genesect EX, fully powered with a muscle band, so he can't even put a head ringer on it. Megalo Cannon knocks out everything in Jason's deck. And here's Crushing Hammer, though.
Let's see. Could be the start of something. Can't tell. Went off the table. Not sure if he's resuming play or flipping again. Let's see.
Thinking it might be a Tails. I don't know. Gonna have a talk with Jason to see if he can keep the flips on the table. we might have a ruling coming on a coin flip.
Oh boy.
I don't think I've ever seen this before.
Oh, perhaps it's one of those coins. It's hard to tell. Sometimes when a coin, if it's on an angle, players will, I don't know. They have to deduce, is that a full flip or not? I wish we could see, even looking at the expanded view that we have on the side, it's still just a pile of red dice and nothing below. The mystery awaits us.
Yeah, you can see almost Jason a little bit of like a sheepish request, like, does that flip count? Like you're almost a little embarrassed to ask, but I mean, it's an okay question, I guess.
If I'm going down, I might as well have some fun with it.
So, all right, we have our head judge coming in, and we're going to get a ruling on the coin flip here. I think even if it's heads, it probably won't matter.
I'm so tempted. I really want to know what's going on. I just want to throw the headset off, walk a couple feet. I want to see what this coin looks like. I want to know the controversy.
Jason has made coin flips more exciting than ever this weekend. Super scoop up earlier. Now this mysterious coin flip. We don't know what it is. Maybe it landed on its side.
Okay. I will say I've had experience where I once upon a time flipped a nickel and it landed sideways. No one believes me, but if you don't, go home, take a nickel. You can definitely balance that sideways.
Oh, he got heads. All right.
Okay. Wow.
After all of that, we got heads.
You got to fight for them flips.
So he's going to discard one of the energy on Genesect EX. That's probably going to be his big target at this point. If Genesect gets powered up, you're pretty much done for because, well, Megalo Cannon knocks out Seismitoad in one hit.
So we do see a Sycamore get ridding. Oh, no, sorry. He was an Ultra Ball first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have an Ultra Ball probably for Shaman EX. Try to set up here, find some more stuff. Maybe find a super scoop up. Try to get this Seismitoad out of there so it's not an easy 2-prize knockout. There's a lot of stuff Jason needs to go his way, but again, if he flips a lot of heads, anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, we see him miss one earlier this turn, but he knows what he has to do to have a chance. It's not pretty. It's the farthest thing from pretty, but hey, you gotta go.
Yeah, and this started off probably as well as it could have, knocking out Jirachi EX like turn 2 or 3, taking a 3-prize lead, hit a Crushing Hammer early on, got the Head Ringer early on, and then after all that, it just took one Emerald Slash, and Dane took complete control.
So here we see Shaman's set up. I'm sure he's loved that grunt at some point when Genesect comes active. Another flip and another heads. This is actually a big deal. Likely, well, he still needs another flip if he truly wants to prevent Dane from being able to attack with Genesect, but it is something.
Yeah, we'll see which energy he goes for. He could do the double discard, one off the active with Crushing Hammer, a second one with the Team Flare Grunt. And then it can create a weird spot. If Dane doesn't have an energy to attack, he'll have to retreat the energy off. And it just becomes maybe a situation where Jason has an opening.
Yeah, I mean, all Dane does need is an additional energy for this knockout, but Jason at least doing what he can, discarding 3 energy in one turn. And Dane actually has to dig for an energy.
He needs to find energy or even Sky Arrow Bridge, so he has a lot of ways to do something here.
I see the bridge all the way at the right of his hand.
Okay, so there's a Sky Arrow bridge that'll allow him to retreat freely, and this is again why Parisian Genesect is so much better in Expanded. That one Stadium card gives you so much freedom to retreat between your Pokemon, but missing the energy drop,
Yeah.
that is a big deal.
That's a huge danger. Now, you don't even normally want to put up the Genesect here because that's a pretty tremendous overkill when you can just attack with the Virizion and knock out a Toad. That said, Jason is not in a great spot.
Jason
Yeah.
puts all the damage to signify how much his Seismitoad just took.
He loves to do that. But, what's he going to do? Put up Shaman and retreat it? He's certainly going to be digging for them hammers.
Yeah.
And he does have an N in his hands, so he could put Dane in a weird spot if he can combine it with some hammers.
Right. If he could find even an enhanced hammer, discard the plasma energy. Yeah, after he discards a single energy, there's actually nothing on Dane's field that has enough to attack. So that becomes the game. You kind of find the weak spots and see where your opponent can be hammered and not have enough energy to attack.
Well, we do see a trainer's mail. This could find him one of his crucial hammers. Oh,
Ooh.
There it is.
Speaking of hammers, there's one off Trainer's Mail.
And now he was still holding that grunt in hand, wasn't he?
I think he played that last turn. So
okay.
I think
You're right,
in
on
a-
the Virizion.
in a perfect world, he goes for the Crushing Hammer, gets heads, removes the grass energy, plays an N, and maybe Dane just draws 2 bad cards.
Yeah, and maybe even he finds an enhanced hammer off the end, too.
Yeah.
Here we go.
There's
Crushing
this.
hammer.
And
Another heads.
wow. Okay, so now the door is
Ooh,
opened
boy.
a little bit. Jason's trying to look, how many energy have you used? Still not enough to kind of prevent Dane from attacking altogether. But it's starting to get to a pretty reasonable amount where it can become difficult for Dane to draw energy.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I'm not even sure if the Quaking Punch is really going to happen this turn, but even if it doesn't, Dane might be left with a pretty rough spot. I'm not sure if he still has that Professor's Letter in hand or not, but it's likely going to get end.
Yeah. Jason's going to put down that Seismitoad EX. I would say most likely we'll see the Sky Return on this turn. We see Burbank City Gym countering that
Here
Sky
we
Arrow
go.
Bridge. And here is N. I think N is probably the card that has decided more games than any other card since
Then
it has been
any
printed.
other card?
Yes, that is correct. But yeah, N has just decided so many games. Being able to put your opponent at a low hand size, take away their options. You know, there's a chance that Dane could just draw no more energy the rest of the game because he's at such a low hand size.
Yeah, I mean, he only gets to draw 2. Jason only gets to draw 3, but it's Jason's game to turn around here. If he draws something like an enhanced hammer... first
Oh.
card! Ooh, that's huge.
So he does hit that enhanced hammer. Goodbye plasma energy.
Oh, wow.
This has been a pretty good run on these last 2 turns for Jason, discarding lots of energy. And, man, Dane had such a commanding position. Don't get me wrong, he still does if he can find energy cards, but we're getting to a point where all those hammers are starting to add up.
Yeah, those flips are brutal. Now, Jason still has to knock out these Pokemon. It takes a lot of damage to do that right now. Shaman is threatening 30 right now.
Oh, yeah.
But if Jason can just run Dane out of energy, that can be rough. That's it. I mean, how many hammers has he played, though? Can he really keep this up without playing the trump card?
Yeah, and that becomes
Putting
the
them
problem.
all back into Dane's deck?
Yeah, that's the basic conundrum you have here. You want to keep playing Crushing Hammer to get rid of all your opponent's energy, but then you run out of hammers, and if you play Trump card, they get all the energy back. So there is the Sky Return for 30 damage. I'm interested to see what Jason's going to promote. He could do Skrelp or Absol since, well, they're non-EXs. There would be no danger of him losing the game. But if he feels like he needs the Quaking Punch next turn and he's not in any danger of losing, he may promote Seismitoad.
Yeah, it's a tough choice. Dane, we're not sure what he got off these 2 cards, but let's say he is drawing a lot off something like a Sycamore. He maybe finds himself some kind of energy switch combo. That could still work with Genesect because he can use items now.
Yeah, looks like Absol is going to be the choice for Jason. And now, what does Dane draw? If he draws a good combination of cards here, I mean, he's...
Plasma energy switch does it.
Yeah, that would be the game. I mean, he does need some kind of combination to win this turn, but even just an energy, he can retreat and Emerald Slash. That wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah. Oh, VS Seeker for Juniper. That's going to give him a lot more options.
Oh.
And Sky Arrow Bridge.
What a big play there.
It's not out of the question that he just steals the game right here. 7 cards. Let's see what he gets.
Here we go. 7 cards. He needs Energy Switch and Plasma Energy for the red signal. And this game is over. I do have to say, Jason's put up quite a fight given how badly he got dominated in the middle portion of this game.
All right, so Dane, I feel like if he did have it, he would have just dropped it immediately, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think he's slow rolling Jason. I think he just missed what he needs to win, and he's trying to be conservative. You know, okay, well, what's my play? Does he even have an energy at all after all of that?
Yeah, it looks like he may have an Energy Switch in his hand, and he could use that to retreat. Energy Switch and Emerald Slash. That's not the greatest spot to be in, depending on how many energy you have left in your deck.
Oh, sure. Now, Jason is going to have to, somehow run through Dane after, I think he's played all of his hammers. That sounds about right to me. But
sure seemed like it.
Yeah, and the grunt, he can't go forever. He can try.
Here we see Energy Switch. Going to move off that Virgen EX with the Muscle Band. To Genesect.
Going to Genesect. So, does he have another energy in hand then?
I'm not sure.
Ready for the slow roll? He actually does have the plasma.
No, he's just going to retreat to the other Virgen EX. I wonder if he got that Tool Retriever back, maybe?
Tool Retriever would do it.
No, just another Versus Seeker. He may be content with this, just saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to get that Shadow Triad. You can see Jason looking over like, uh-oh.
Yeah, Dane sort of, he has basically said, I have the game next turn if there's nothing you can do. Because with Shadow Triad, he can retrieve from the discard pile a Plasma Energy.
Yeah. Now, there are 2 ways for Jason to deal with this. Number 1 would be N. Number 2 would be Lysander's trump card. That way he could shuffle in that Plasma Energy and Dane wouldn't be able to retrieve it from the discard with Shadow Triad.
And I'm not sure, does Jason have a Versus Seeker in hand?
I don't think so. He should have a Shaman EX to go with setup. I guess the third option would be Crushing Hammer. Discard that energy altogether. So, it's a tough spot. He does have ways to get around it, but he needs to do something. If he does nothing, Dane wins.
Yeah, like even let's say he does play the N or does shuffle everything back in, he's still likely not Quaking Punch this turn. It's just so hard. There's so much he has to do and so little ways to do it.
Yeah, and Dane only needs is 1 card, a Plasma Energy, to red signal. Bring out one of those EXs and Megalo Cannon for the win.
We haven't even seen that many. It's not out of the question that he has it in the deck that he could just top deck, even after all of this.
Yeah, I think he had 2 Plasma Energy in his discard pile, so he'll have 2 left. Here is the setup for 4 cards. Again, Jason's going to need something here.
Well, Versus Seeker at least gives him one of those supporter options. We also saw a Super Scoop Up, so perhaps he can get a Seismitoad back in play. Not even sure if that's what he does want. It's just so rough, he can do everything that he has all these options left in the deck, but I don't know if he has enough to really stop Dane permanently.
Yeah.
He could even just be trying to sort of like slow burn this game so there's less time for future ones.
Yeah, he's taken so many prizes. He thinks this might be the best shot of ever winning a game in this matchup, so might as well play it out. Sure, he'll have to get lucky, but he knows that already.
I will say, even 3 prizes alone is a lot deeper than this matchup normally goes.
We do see heads on Super Scoop Up, so we'll see what Jason decides to pick up. You would think maybe Absol to pick that up and use Sky Return, but no, he's going to go Shaman EX, and here's an N.
Here we go. So both players shuffle their entire hand into their deck, drawing just cards for how many prize cards remain. 3 for Jason, 2 for Dane. That definitely can put both players in a bad situation, but Jason definitely hoping he just gives Dane garbage.
Yeah, last turn was really big for Dane. He got that Professor Juniper. He was able to play down a couple cards that wouldn't be very good to draw off an N. So the number of cards in his deck that are good to draw here are probably pretty high. There's a very good chance he wins the game even after this N, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, oh boy, I actually do see the Plasma Energy sitting in his hand. That's game if Jason has no options, and I don't think he does.
Yeah, he's going to retreat for free with the Sky Arrow Bridge, use Sky Return, but we see the writing on the wall. Dane has holding on to that game-winning energy.
Yeah, there's nothing Jason can do. Dane repairing the damage. He knows what's coming. We can see both players' hands, and I can tell you unless lightning strikes, ruining the table or something, Dane is going to attach that plasma energy to Genesect.
Unless Dane red signals the wrong Pokemon.
I mean, it would take quite a bit in this matchup to make a decision like that. Let's see. Pretty sure we're seeing it pulling up the Toad. I guess he could technically knock out the Shaman, but you want to hate on Toad, That's how you want to close out these last two prizes.
There's a big Megalo Cannon, 240 damage, taking down Seismitoad EX, and Dane is going to take game number 1, 1 game away from being our champion.
He slaps that Team Flare tool down like, you can take this back. Man, and Jason actually, I've seen this matchup many times. I will be honest. I don't think I've ever seen Seismitoad take it. I'm sure it's possible. I've heard it's happened in testing and whatnot. But that's one of the deepest runs I've seen a Toad make. It's actually normally more lopsided than that.
Yeah, early on we saw Seismitoad EX paired with Garbodor quite a bit, and you could win in that matchup because you have Garbotoxin shutting off Verdant Wind. That way you can still play your Hypnotoxic lasers. But at this point, Seismitoad has become so popular that Garbodor has fallen by the wayside. Why are you going to use Garbodor against Seismitoad decks? You can't even put tools on it to use it.
I saw a few people even actually splashing in the Garbodor over and expanded, but none of them made it through all the way to, the top cut. So it's give and take with all these cards.
Yeah, and I've talked with Jason before. You could run things like a Mewtwo EX or a Charizard EX that can attack for more damage against Virgen Genesect decks, but he feels like, you know what, that's such a bad matchup anyway, I'll just kind of accept it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's doing everything he can to maybe not accept it, discarding 3 energy in a turn, You can do that and still just get rolled.
Again, anything can happen with Quaking Punch, that item lock, those crushing hammers. You just don't know.
But unfortunately for Jason, Dane did what his deck is supposed to do and beats Toad.
And much to Dane's credit, he played very patiently. He understood, all right, as long as I just attach energy, eventually I'll be able to use Emerald Slash, powers up a second Virgen EX, and eventually finds a way to close the game.
Yeah, how many turns did it take? It was like a turn 7 Emerald Slash. And maybe not that deep, but it was certainly a lot later than the usual turn 2 one that we see, or saw with this deck when it was really prominent. But you can wait. You can afford it. What's Toad doing? 30 damage? 10 damage?
Right. So it looks like these players are getting set up. We're going to head over to game number 2. This might be the last game of the day here at the Wisconsin Regional Championships.
Let's go.
So if Jason had a choice, I'm sure he would want one more game after this one. But if you're Dane, 1 game away from taking down this tournament, taking down 2 legends in a row, Ross Coffin and then Jason Klaczynski, this would be quite a big tournament win for him.
Yeah, not many players can say that they've beaten one of those 2, let alone both.
Yeah, in a row.
Yeah. Back to back, the game's legends falling one by one. But hey, this is how new legends are created.
Absolutely.
These original players that have been playing since the beginning of the game, they're great, but there's always room for new ones to make a name for themselves.
That's right. So Jason looks like he may have not had a basic Pokemon in his opening hand, so Dane will start off the game with an extra card. And here we go. Game number 2 of the finals here at the Wisconsin Regional Championships. Lots on the line here, and Dane starting with that Deoxys.
I thought it couldn't get worse than Jirachi. You can't even Sky Arrow this thing.
Yeah, Deoxys EX has a 2 retreat cost, so even with Sky Arrow Bridge, you have to pay an energy to attack. You know Jason loves seeing that.
Oh, man, yeah. Last game, I think he discarded Deoxys like turn 1. I never want to see this again. And Jason's just going to revel in this. He can Lysander it at any point, bring it back. There's no real easy way to move it, especially when you're under item lock. This could be just the thing Jason needed to see.
Yeah, especially if you combine this with Absol, you could make sure that Deoxys just sits there for a very long time. So yeah, this is a really bad starter for Dane. Probably one of the ways Jason could get an advantage in this matchup.
What an unfortunate start. But hey, you run the one, that's the risk you run. It's so good in certain matchups. Sometimes you just need to be able to deal an extra 10 damage with Genesect. But in this matchup, it is awful. It doesn't help you at all. There's no reason that Genesect needs to do 130, or 110 with Megalo Cannon.
Right. So yeah, Dane does have 2 Pokemon that he probably doesn't want to start with, Deoxys being one, Bouffalant being the other. Both of them have a 2 retreat cost. All of the other Pokemon in his deck have a 1 retreat cost, which means he can retreat for free with Sky Arrow Bridge. Obviously, he would want to start with Virgen EX since that is his main attacker in the early portions of the game. But yeah, it's going to be a much different game with the Deoxys start.
Now, I do see Dane. I'm just looking through his deck. Like, does he have any escape? He does have one,
Oh.
literally an escape, in Escape Rope. If he can find his one Escape Rope, maybe move Deoxys, that buys him one turn. But Jason, I think wisely, dropping Lysander into the discard pile means if I ever find a Versus Seeker, I know who I'm pulling back up.
That's right. So we see a setup here. Jason's first turn doesn't need to be that good. Just Deoxys EX out there. You can't Quaking Punch on the first turn going first. So, I mean, you could play a bunch of stuff, play a lot of Shaman EX, try to draw all your cards, get your muscle bands and whatnot. But beyond that, you really don't need much of anything on this first turn.
Nope. Yeah, Dane paved the way for him, at least to really turn the game around. And the way Deoxys works is it can really help you with that energy game. If you attach to something else, you can leave Deoxys active and discard with hammers and whatnot. If you attach to Deoxys, you can discard them and leave it there. Every time Deoxys comes up, it's asking for two energy to move, and that's too much.
Yeah, there are situations where Dane could get out of this, right? If he is able to Emerald Slash at some point, it's still going to be fine. It's just going to be much more difficult to do.
I think the most common thing that you would hope for is Sky Arrow Bridge plus one energy to retreat.
Yeah, and even if that happens, well, Lysander can pull you back out, and you get in this this loop where, well, if you pay to retreat, then it gets brought back out, and you have to use your energy attachment every turn just paying to retreat this thing.
Oh yeah, no, you definitely need like an Emerald Slash coming out of that retreat.
Yeah.
I would say for Dane, retreating Deoxys is probably not something you want to do for a long while, as much as it hurts to say that.
Yeah, and he doesn't run anything to remove it from play, like AZ or Super Scoop Up or even Cassius. He only has that Escape Rope as the switching card, so it's going to be there pretty much the whole game. So we see another setup from Jason, drawing a handful of cards. He's back up to 6 in his hand. He does have Hypnotoxic Laser. He could start playing that to get some damage on the Deoxys EX, but again, he really doesn't need much. Maybe a Muscle Band is what he's looking for. Even a Head Ringer would be useless on Deoxys EX. It doesn't increase its retreat cost.
I think I do even see Muscle Bands in his hand. I think I see 2.
Okay, so there is Hypnotoxic Laser. He's going to flip again. And what may be the most irrelevant flip of the day.
Oh, Tails. Okay. Not asleep, Deoxys.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
So here, well, he does get the poison on there, so some damage is going to start piling on. You do want to at least do that, start putting pressure on in case Dane has a bad hand or something, and his only Pokemon is Deoxys. That way you can at least start to pressure and threaten an early win.
So we do see opening. There's the band for Toad. You definitely, he's not going to do a lot of damage, so at least give him as much as he can put in.
Yeah, and he has an option to put down Verbank City Gym. He may hold on to it just in case Dane puts down a Sky Arrow Bridge. It's not important to him to do 3 damage counters right now. It's more important to get rid of Sky Arrow Bridge whenever it comes out.
So Dane here, here's your 1 turn of items. How are you going to use them? Probably going to find a Virgen as quickly as he can.
Yeah, he has a couple options with this Ultra Ball coming up. He could do Virgen EX. If he doesn't have a supporter card, he could do Jirachi EX. Both of those wouldn't be a bad idea.
So opting, I think, to discard the Sky Arrow Bridge. And interesting, we have a pause here.
Not sure what's happening. Both players, I don't know. We're going to wait for the judge's response here. We don't really know what's going on, but I think Dane's probably going to play an Ultra Ball here. Search for maybe Virgen EX, maybe Jirachi EX. One of those two. Get the Virgen EX down with an Energy as an option. If he doesn't have a supporter card, maybe Stellar Guidance is the better move. It's tough to tell. He did seem like he had a handful of energy, though.
Right, so hopefully it seems that play has resumed.
Yeah.
Dane searching for his Ultra Ball now.
Looks like it. And it looks like he's eyeing up Virgen EX. Looks like that's going to be his choice. Just saying, you know what, I have a bunch of energy. Let's just go for Virgen, try to power it up. And if I do, well, it's going to be good for me.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to keep attaching and hoping that Jason eventually runs out of hammers. And then you can finally retreat Deoxys, or maybe it eventually just gets knocked out.
Well, Dane's going to take a quick look through his deck, make sure any important cards aren't in his prize cards. Maybe looking to see if Escape Rope is in there. Maybe he can find that and get Deoxys out of the active spot right away. That's probably what he's looking for.
All right, so it's at least step one. He does give up a Sky Arrow Bridge here and an Energy Switch. The Energy Switch obviously is not going to be too helpful. Sky Arrow might help at one point, but I think the rest of his hand looked like mostly energy. Probably wants to hold on to those.
So we see Virgen EX with an energy attachment. Oh, and a muscle band. That's actually really big. That'll block that head ringer.
Yeah, that means he can probably Emerald Slash it too. The only tool I think Jason runs to discard that is Zero Sick.
Yeah. So yeah, Jason will need Zero Sick to get rid of muscle band. You can only have one Pokemon tool card attached at a time, so since Dane used that one turn to get a muscle band down, Jason can't use Head Ringer to slow Virgen EX down.
And it's funny, a card like Muscle Band, like the extra 20 damage doesn't really matter, but just a tool simply being attached matters a whole lot more.
Yeah, you could put a G booster on Virgen if you really wanted. It would probably have the same effect.
Can that be attached to non? It does.
Yeah.
It's not a Genesect exclusive. Oh,
Nope.
That's fun.
You
Yeah.
can put it on anything, but Genesect's the only one who gets the extra attack.
Yeah, I would give it to Virizion. Heck, you get a bit more holographic flair on your side of the field.
Here we see another Crushing Hammer. Tails on the first one and Tails on the second. Not what Jason wants to see. Even though Deoxys EX is pretty favorable Pokemon to have in the active spot, I mean, if you don't hit Crushing Hammers, eventually Dane will get an Emerald Slash off.
So we do see the double colors drop on Seismitoad. We're going to see a Quaking Punch. It's Jason's usual strategy, but he is going to have to discard energy at some point.
And we see another Tails this time on Super Scoop Up, and then another setup for 4 cards. Probably digging more and more for those Crushing Hammers.
No hammers here.
Yeah, we see Ultra Ball. Maybe a 4th Shaman EX can go on the board.
I would not be surprised. I think some of these games, some games he'd like bench the Skrelp. I think it was hogging up a spot that he could have put a replacement Toad down or a Shaman. Here it's just pure ol' everything the deck has to offer in terms of main synergy, Toad and Shaman.
Pretty much. And yeah, probably digging for more Crushing Hammers. If he can just hit one, discard the energy off Virgen EX, that's going to be big for slowing Dane down.
And we do see Trainer's Mail. Jason just trying to dig through his deck, find as many different things
Are we
as
going to see the
possible.
Trainer's Mail for the Trainer's Mail?
Hey, sometimes you gotta check twice. Could be something
see.
different in that mailbox.
All right, looks like he's going for Muscle Band instead.
Yeah, just a guaranteed card that he can burn to make his Shaman draw an extra on setup.
Right, and then if he draws that other Trainer's Mail off the setup, then it'll be even more likely he finds a Crushing Hammer with the next Trainer's Mail.
So he has actually 2 Muscle Band, probably going to drop them both. And here
Yep.
we go. Oh, Jason crushing my OCD tendencies, not grouping all 4 Shaman together. But still set up for 6.
Yeah, looks like no Crushing Hammer this time.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, he played 2 this turn, right? The double tails.
Yeah, he missed both of them. Again, he doesn't have to worry about Emerald Slash because Deoxys EX is there to retreat cost. There's no way Dane can get Deoxys out of the active and then also attach to use Emerald Slash. So he does have one more turn to start using hammers, but after that, it's going to get scary.
Yeah, I mean, he can start the luck and actually perhaps even helping Dane somewhat. That's going to start piling on damage onto Deoxys.
Yeah, I mean, eventually it'll get knocked out from poison at least.
Maybe getting knocked out is your best way to retreat.
Yeah, it is. I mean, eventually Deoxys will go down. It's just if Jason can hammer every turn, he kind of has a little bit of a buffer because that Deoxys is active.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a window for Jason, this is it. Just flipped a few crucial tails to start.
Yeah, and it looks like, he actually opts to play the 0-6 this turn, gonna discard that Muscle Band, and that'll open up Head Ringer in the future.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you think, oh, well, can he just attach another Muscle Band now? No, because Quaking Punch has started.
Yeah. So we see the energy attachment from Dane, and he's gonna pass the turn. Seismitoad gonna be able to Quaking Punch again this turn, but Deoxys EX nearing being knocked out, 130 damage on it. Here's the Professor Sycamore Will Jason find a head ringer or a crushing hammer?
Ooh, I don't see either right now. None so far. But as you know, Jason, the fun has just begun. There's super scoop ups, but he's definitely running out of options.
And all right, he does get heads on this super scoop up, so we could see another setup on this turn.
He doesn't have a ton of burnable cards. I see like Ultra Ball. He might Ultra Ball for nothing. He really needs some kind of disruption card as this Deoxys is going to hit the discard pile.
Right. And this would be a pretty good spot for Jason if he can disrupt Dane just a little bit. Looks like Dane only has like 2 or 3 cards, and they're mostly energy. So if he can Emerald Slash, he may not even have a target to put more energy onto. If it's just one Virgen EX, you might be able to deal with it eventually.
Yeah, he definitely wants a second bench Pokemon to share that love.
So it looks like we're having another discussion here. And been a lot of interaction with the judges.
I heard Jason, he said something about an Ultra Ball.
So he's playing the Ultra Ball. Should search through the deck. He probably won't find anything, and then we'll probably see a setup from Shaman EX drawing a couple cards. So in the meantime, Dane is still in a pretty decent position, even though he's going to go behind on prizes a second time. Once Virgen EX can use Emerald Slash, it is such a big Pokemon to deal with. The resistance to water, the Verdant Wind, stopping Hypnotoxic Laser, hitting for weakness. So even if he doesn't get a second Pokemon out, I have seen one Virgen EX run through a bunch of Seismitoad on its own.
Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be really, really hard if he does have another target. He shares the energy, his field just gets too big. It is more interesting, though, as you noted, if for some reason Jason can draw some kind of disruption tool. I wouldn't see anything in there. That Shaman didn't hurt, or sorry, Shaman didn't help. See, Jason, you can see it on his face. He's telegraphing pretty heavily. That was nothing. I mean, he didn't grab one of the tools. He needed something. He needed a head ringer or some way to discard energy. Because he gets neither, Virizian's going to run free. Oh, and he top decks the Genesect.
Oh, man.
Oh, there's a friend. And Jason just cringing, like, no. I don't even think he had another way to get someone.
I don't either.
It doesn't even look like he has another energy outside of the plasma. But here we go.
There's the Sky Arrow Bridge, getting rid of the Burbank City Gym as well. Emerald Slash for 100 damage. I did see Jason got some pretty useful cards out of his prizes, though. He got that head ringer. He does have a Team Flare Grunt in his hand as well, so he can definitely slow Dane down a little bit. But, oh, man, finding that Genesect just to put energy onto is a world of difference.
Oh, yeah. If he doesn't have that Genesect, Jason then potentially discards like both energy or one energy and dropping a head ringer on Virizion, buying himself another full turn. But he's still in a decent spot if he can sort of stop the flow on Virizion. But, Dane just put himself one step closer to becoming a regional champion.
Absolutely. So now we got 100 damage on Seismitoad EX. One more Emerald Slash will take it down. Dane is left with only 2 cards. We know one of them is an energy, but, Jason might not know. He may think that Dane's hand is garbage since, well, he didn't actually play any cards besides Sky Arrow and Genesect. Didn't attach an energy for the turn. So he's going to go for that Team Flare Grunt, discard the energy, and he may think that he might slow down Dane for a turn and stop him from attacking.
Yeah, I guess he has stopped the Virizion, and replacing the stadium here actually puts Dane in a weird spot.
Right.
He could, it actually puts him in an extremely weird spot. He can't even retreat and attack in the same turn. He might not attack at all next turn.
Yeah, we see the Trainer's Mail probably digging for a Crushing Hammer, not finding one. Even a second Head Ringer would be amazing for Jason right here, making Dane pay another energy to use Genesect's Megalo Cannon. Misses it, though. Finds the Lysander's Trump card, which he can't even play this turn. Already played that Team Flare Grunt as his supporter card.
It did its work, though.
Yeah. But, yeah, I would assume we'll see him counter that Sky Arrow Bridge with that Burbank City Gym, Quaking Punch, and cross his fingers that Dane can't knock him out.
Yeah, Dane will need quite a bit. Yeah, here we go. There's the replacement. Now this puts him in a strange spot. I guess he can still retreat the Virizion. He has to pay the cost, though, then attach from hand and attack with Genesect. You could actually do some fancy things. You could completely knock out, after doing a red signal, the clean Seismitoad EX. But, those are your last energies.
All right, now what does Dane draw on this turn? Did he draw anything useful? Looks like he may have drawn a second Ultra Ball.
All right, well, we do see the red signal on the clean Genesect, and he's going all in, taking, a nice 2 prizes here. He definitely doesn't have that strong of a hand, so maybe he's really hoping to find himself a supporter. But this does put Jason in a position where he can leave Dane without enough energy to attack in the following
Even if
turn.
he draws another energy, that'll be good. We know Jason has that Team Flare Grunt. He can discard one of the energy on that Genesect EX. So, I mean, really all Dane needs at this point is energy. If he can attach every turn, he will probably end up as our regional champion.
Yeah, Megalo Cannon is so powerful, just knocking out a clean 180 HP EX in one hit because it's weak to grass.
Right, so now it's on Jason's turn, and he might have some interesting decisions to be making. I think he has a bunch of Versus Seeker in his hand. Sure, you can keep getting back Team Flare Grunt, but
you can only play one in one turn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there may be some weird spots here where, well, he's going to go for the Team Flare Grunt, discard that Grass Energy, force Dane to have another Grass Energy to get that knockout. But he could have had other options like Lysander, bring out Virgen EX, and if he had a Hypnotoxic Laser, try to trap it there. But goes for the Team Flare Grunt. And, man, if Jason doesn't have another way to discard energy, this could be a big opportunity for Dane to take control.
Yeah, he would certainly love to top this off with something like an Enhanced Hammer, but his hand is getting clunky. It's versus Seekers and Supporters. He has all 4 Shaman down there, so even though the Shaman train does run pretty fast, it does come to a full stop eventually.
We'll see what Dane draws here. Oh, he draws a Plasma Energy, not quite what he needs. He needs a Grass to use Megalo Cannon, but here is an N. Will he find a Grass Energy off of these 4 cards?
Oh boy, here we go. Now, only drawing 4 cards apiece for each player, that's not a ton. He's run through a lot of Grass Energy, had them discarded. His odds aren't incredible, but they are definitely there.
Yeah, if he can just find 1 Grass Energy, he will take a commanding lead in this game, go down to 2 prizes. He'll still have that fully powered Genesect EX up and running. So does he find the Grass Energy?
Oh, I don't see it yet. There's a lot of glare.
I don't see it. I think he misses the knockout this turn.
Now you almost wish you did attach the plasma, you know? Oh, and Jason, I see an Enhanced Hammer in his hand. He's starting to get some dreams.
Oh, man. Not only that, he has that Versus Seeker for that Team Flare Grunt. He could stop Dane dead in his tracks.
Yeah, wow. Fantastic way to get himself out of all of those Emerald Slash. He only got the 1 Emerald Slash.
Yeah. So this is exactly how a Seismitoad deck can beat Virgen Genesect. Go after all their energy. Make sure they don't get multiple uses of that Emerald Slash attack. Jason has been able to do that with the use of Headringer, Crushing Hammer, and Team Flare Grunt.
And the other dangerous thing about going active with the Genesect EX is it is not resistant to water like the Virgen. So it's actually taking, 50-50. You can knock it out in 4 attacks, which is a lot quicker.
Yeah, and if you discard that Grass Energy, Hypnotoxic Laser opens back up. Verdant Wind only activates when you have a Grass Energy on your Pokemon. So even though you have Virgen EX, you have Grass Pokemon, you need the Grass Energy attached to get that bonus.
I just saw Jason rolled up his sleeves at an appropriate time to do so.
That's when you know it's getting serious.
Yeah, I mean, he has at least 1 Guaranteed Hammer, 1 Flip Hammer. Versus Seeker could be another Guaranteed Hammer. Well, hammer of an energy.
Yeah, so there we see the Team Flare Grunt discarding the Grass Energy. Enhanced Hammer, goodbye Plasma Energy. And wow, that's a pretty big turn.
Oh yeah, there are 0 energy now on Dane's side of the field.
Yep, and Jason leaves himself with a Crushing Hammer for next turn as well.
Oh boy, now Dane, not sure what he has in his hand, but it certainly wasn't great. I would almost, at this point, do you start thinking about concession just so that you can try and play your full game 3?
Yeah, maybe. But it is going to take a while for Jason to actually win the game. Quaking Punch not doing a ton of damage.
Juniper will help.
Professor Juniper. Yeah, that's not bad.
He's, I guess, going to try and maybe start powering up this clean Virgen EX on the bench.
Yeah, I would think so. If he has an energy, that's exactly where it goes.
Haven't seen him drop one yet, but he did just draw 7 cards.
I think Dane has just a Plasma Energy in his hand. Might be worried about Enhanced Hammer, but, I mean, it's better than not playing an energy at all.
Yeah, at this point, he could maybe do some kind of red signal shenanigans, but I think you're best off. Oh, well, red signal shenanigans.
Yeah, that can work. I mean, Jason only plays 4 double colorless energy as his energy in the whole deck. So Dane's going to go ahead, red signal, retreat to prevent Jason from taking any easy prizes, and that'll be the turn.
All right. Well, Jason does have an AZ ready to go, so he can pop back up. But Virgen EX is the new active, and that thing is only going to take, 30 damage at a time.
Yeah, this is where you need to start drawing those hypnotoxic lasers. When they don't have grass energy, that's your time to strike. You need to be able to get that extra damage. You can't sit back and Quaking Punch for 30 a turn. You have to put more pressure on than that.
Now, actually, in a weird sort of twist of fate, pulling up that Shaman actually helps Jason twofold. It sort of gave him an opportunity to play the AZ. It gave him a reason to want to play it. And now he can actually drop it down to draw a few more cards as well. Maybe find that Hypnotoxic Laser.
Yeah, off that trainer's mail, I think there were 2 Hypnotoxic Laser in those top 4 cards. He opted to keep the Crushing Hammer because that's much more important for keeping your opponent at bay. You're going to win by getting rid of their energy, not by just using Hypnotoxic Laser. But looks like Jason's just going to sit back again. He counts his deck, sees that, I don't really have a lot of cards. So instead of using Setup, having to play Trump card to reset his deck, he's just going to sit there and Quaking Punch for 30.
So Dane finally finds himself a Grass Energy, which is maybe slightly more safe, and Skylighting for a Juniper to guarantee that he can draw 7 more cards next turn. But he has lost a lot of energy this game.
Yeah, every time Jason tries to slow Dane down a little bit, Dane's drawing just enough to stay in the game. Those energy attachments, finding those Professor Juniper. A lot of decks just really shut down when they don't get to play item cards, but Dane has been able to be okay throughout this game.
And Jason does have yet another flip incoming. If he discards this energy, it could be huge.
Here we go. Yeah, Jason has that opportunity with another Crushing Hammer. Will he be able to flip heads on this card? Here we go. Another big coin flip. And heads.
Oh, it's time for a eulogy. Moment of silence for Dane's energy. May they rest in peace in the discard pile.
All right, so now Jason has to decide, how much longer can I keep this up? A lot of the Crushing Hammers are gone. A lot of Dane's energy are gone, but he'll have enough to keep attacking. So do you play the Lysander's Trump card now, get all your Crushing Hammers back, and just try to keep Dane off of energy the rest of the game? Or do you try to dig a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know. It's always hard to tell. Like, has he discarded it yet already? Just because these players go so quickly as they dump. Double versus Seekers, so maybe one of each.
See what he takes with this one. I might go for an AZ or something to reuse that Shaman EX.
Yeah, and you never know. Perhaps he has gotten himself in one of those situations where it's prized again.
Nope,
in hand. Just playing it straight up.
Yep.
Just playing the Versus Seekers first so that he can get those supporters in his hand, free to use after he shuffles everything back in.
Yep, we're going to start it all over again. Shuffle all those cards from your discard pile back into your deck. Both players get to do that. Of course, Dane gets all of his energy back, and Sky Arrow Bridge, very important cards. Jason, though, gets those Crushing Hammers back. If he can discard every energy Dane plays from here on out, he can win the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the name of the game. Jason does have at least one Shaman that he can play down. He's not going to have quite that same turbo burst that he did in the early game. And Dane, he has set himself up with the Juniper. He's going to get all these energy back, but it's just going to be a straight-up race.
Yeah. I wonder if Jason will play that Shaman EX, set up this turn, try to find a Hypnotoxic Laser maybe, start drawing into some Crushing Hammers for next turn. It seems important to draw a few more cards here.
All right, so both players cutting the decks, and it's a whole new game. But we're this far in, and it actually looks relatively even. Dane has a bit more damage on his side of the field, but Jason has all the energy.
Right, so here we see a setup. This should be for 4 cards.
Here we go.
Probably looking for Hypnotoxic Laser. And
no.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah, I mean, he could go for more super scoop up nonsense.
He could. He also has an Ultra Ball. Could discard maybe that Skrelp and something else. He's got to play Super Scoop Up first to see if he can pull this off.
Tails. Yeah, I know he's hit a lot of Super Scoop Ups. Maybe not as many of the hammers, but this time he's finally denied.
Yeah, and looks like that'll probably be the end of his turn at this point. Just another Quaking Punch for 30 damage.
So all that for just maintaining regular board position.
Yeah, well, he did discard the energy this turn with Crushing Hammer. That was a big flip. Gets the trump card, shuffles in all the Crushing Hammers, but yeah, in terms of doing damage, not moving much.
So here we go with Dane. Once again, yep, he prepared, had that Juniper, really hoping to find another grass. Those are his safest energy, and start attaching once again.
Yeah, I think he's looking for grass and then Sky Arrow Bridge as well. Get rid of that Virgen City Gym. He's starting to bench a lot of Pokemon. Normally against Seismitoad, you don't bench a lot of Pokemon because...
Oh, Shaman as well. Yeah, just a draw. He must have missed the energy.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's huge. Normally you don't bench a lot of Pokemon against Seismitoad decks because they become targets for Lysander to bring up and lock into your active spot, but with Sky Arrow Bridge, it's not as big of a deal.
Oh, man. I mean, he can try and fish for an energy again next turn, but every single time he passes to Jason, it's a long turn coming his way.
Yeah, and here, well, Jason doesn't actually have to do a lot. There's no energy for him to hammer. He probably wants to start going for Hypnotoxic Laser. Yeah, you can do that, and
I don't think he's activated it yet after all of this time. Like, it's funny because you look at Virgen, like, there's almost a mental block. Like, oh, Virgen's out, my Hypnotoxic Laser does nothing. But players often forget, it only activates when it has a grass energy. Now is many turns have been the prime turn for him to finally use the laser, just hasn't found it yet.
yeah, I think he knows that, but he also knows that hammers are more important. He's been prioritizing keeping energy off the board. You don't particularly need to take quick knockouts. As long as you keep that energy off the board, find the laser eventually, you'll be able to win.
Oh yeah, he's winning this war. Just fine. Helps even more when Dane doesn't have an energy. Now he can prioritize something like a laser.
Right. So we do see Ultra Ball. It's going to find another Seismitoad EX. All these turns that Seismitoad has lived with 100 damage on it, we've just seen 4 Shaman EX on Jason's bench.
Yeah, he's a trooper.
So I guess he could do Absol as well. Those are his 2 options here, Seismitoad EX and Absol. Maybe if he thinks Cursed Eyes could come in handy here, move some damage around to get a knockout. That is another option, but Seismitoad EX is going to be his choice here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a safe play. If for some reason this Toad ever does fall, he needs to make sure he has another one ready to go.
Yeah, and I will say with that Absol, it's very likely that Jason can find enough damage to close the game out. There's 90 on the active, 100 on that Genesect EX over there. So it's pretty likely that with a Lysander at some point on that heavily damaged Genesect, he could pull this off.
And Jason actually playing the AZ on one of his Shaman just to make sure he can drop it and draw if he needs to.
Yeah, not even digging for a Hypnotoxic Laser. Doesn't even use setup. Just says Quaking Punch, 30 more damage. Now there's only 50 HP on Virgen EX.
Now we do see Dane almost played an end from his hand. I wonder if maybe he thought, okay, I'm going to wait one turn. Jason's about to take 2 more prize cards. Or, he could just retreat now that he has the Sky Arrow Bridge in play.
Yeah, Sky Arrow, he can retreat, and that's going to be frustrating for Jason. Just 120 damage on that Virgen EX. Now he has to deal with a fresh one with no damage on it. If he wants to go after the one on the bench, he'll have to play a Lysander.
Yeah, and he does have 1 energy down. I think that was his top deck. He didn't play one last turn, right?
Yeah, it must have been. So 1 energy down, now threatening an Emerald Slash once again. Jason will need to find either a Crushing Hammer or one of those Head Ringers.
All right, well, is that a computer search he has in hand? It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of options available to him.
So here's the setup for 3 cards. I'm not sure what he's digging for exactly. Probably Crushing Hammer. I wonder if he has anything in mind to try to go for a knockout this turn, though.
Yeah, I mean, he does have the Lysander. He does have Hypnotoxic Laser as well.
Right, so here comes Computer Search. He can discard 2 cards, search for any card. This will tell us a lot about what Jason's plans are. If he goes for a Crushing Hammer or a Head Ringer, he's going to try to just keep Dane's energy off the board. If he goes for maybe Virgen City Gym, he's trying to close this game out.
I think, yeah, Headringer may be the safest play. You don't have to flip a coin for that. It can at least buy you 1 more turn, but, you can only do so much stalling.
Right. So we'll find out which card Jason searched
Sometimes you get that angle, you get to peek. Here, it's still a mystery. I've got my eye on you card on top of Jason's hand.
Yeah, you don't have to show your opponent what card you take with computer search because you can take any card, so it is private information. Jason hiding it from all of us, making us wait to see what it is.
Ooh, I can't tell.
It looks like a crushing hammer.
Oh, it's a hammer, so he's going for them flips.
Another flip. Here we go. Crushing hammer
Oh,
heads.
big time crush.
So the energy gets crushed once again. Dane unable to keep multiple energy in play, and Jason going to be able to get another Quaking Punch off. But with Sky Arrow Bridge in play, these Quaking Punches almost don't even matter because Dane could just retreat to a Pokemon that has no damage on it.
Yeah, he will eventually have to find a replacement stadium, but still, he has no energy on his opponent's side of the field for another turn. There's only so many Pokemon Dane can retreat to.
There we do see Hypnotoxic Laser getting tails, and there was the Professor Sycamore drawing a fresh 7 cards.
Man, he's got replacement hammers too.
Ooh, looks like, yeah, he may have found that Virgen City Gym. That's going to be big, not just for getting damage in play, but also stopping that free retreat.
It's amazing how much you have to do as a Toad player to take a win. I thought the first game he was pushing it to his limits, but here we've seen, I think that Deoxys start was just enough to slow down Dane.
Right. And Jason definitely was able to get the right head ringer at the right time.
Ooh,
and crushing hammers.
I didn't realize he played a Colress. But yeah, we do see one. No Skyfield, but it's still Colrus for 10.
Yeah,
the old standard for glory.
That's a ton of cards to draw, especially when you're being hit by Quaking Punch. I guess one of the downsides of Shaman EX in the Seismitoad decks is you will have a lot of benched Pokemon, so Colrus becomes a viable option as a draw card for your opponent.
Well, here we go. Obviously, he wants the grass energy. That's sort of the must-have, but I'm sure he would also love a replacement stadium, for example.
Yeah, those are the 2 cards Dane is looking for. And Jason's got to feel uncomfortable knowing his opponent has 10 cards, so he may try to find an N.
9, 10. There they all are. It's still a lot.
So
there's stadium. That's step 1.
It's a big card for Dane to draw. Does he get the energy with it?
Yeah, I see it. Step 2.
This is going to try once again to power up a Virgen EX.
And here we go, retreating again. Genesect will take more damage. It's not resistant, but it is clean.
Right. So now Jason probably needs another Crushing Hammer, which he is holding a few of them. So he's going to have a couple chances at this. Here's the first one. And
heads right off the bat.
Don't even need multiple chances. Just need that first one.
And, looking at all the damage on Dane's side of the field, Jason is not far off from just picking off 2 EX Pokemon with Lysander.
Yeah, and even that Absol could come into play at some point.
Oh, yeah. So we have that. He can even, for like that Virizion with 120 on it, that could be taken out by the Shaman. It's not going to hit into the water resistance.
Yeah, there's a lot of things Jason could do here. I think in a perfect world, he's going to try to take a knockout via Quaking Punch and then finish the game off with a Sky Return or something like that.
So we see yet another Versus Seeker. How many supporters has Jason played? He's almost had one a turn.
Oh, man. Versus Seeker is just an incredible card. Lets you keep cycling through those specific supporter cards you want. Especially great with that Lysander's trump card to just keep recycling your resources. Once that card came out, people saw how good it was. It's been a staple ever since.
Yeah, there's like a one every deck. I actually don't see one in Dane's, and that was a surprise to me. Like, I haven't seen, like, deck. No trump card, really?
Oh, yeah.
This is such an old school list that he has here. It just reminds me of the old days.
Oh, man. Jason gets the Virgen City Gym off of that trainer's mail. Played the Versus Seeker for Lysander, so he's definitely starting to get aggressive here, trying to close the game out.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of has to. He set up the knockouts. He did the work. All he needs to do is claim the prize.
But again, this is only game 2. Even if Jason can manage to win this game, this long, arduous game, he has a third one to go through. Dane, of course, if he wins this one, he will be crowned our regional champion, but right now, it seems like Jason's put himself in a good enough position to be able to win.
Yeah, I've started to wonder, there's a couple of turns where maybe I as a player would have gotten frustrated and conceded. Dane's sort of playing it out. He knows this is a great matchup. I'm sure you've got to want to play it out, but time is winding away.
Yeah, so here we do see Lysander. Jason's going to go for that Virizion EX with the 120 damage on it already. There's the Virgen City Gym. Pair that with a Hypnotoxic Laser.
There it is.
That'll go for 60 damage total between that and Quaking Punch. And man, how many turns did it take? But Jason is going to get a knockout.
Yeah, and then he's left with just 2 prize cards, 1 EX away. Really, all I can see is Dane maybe getting like an energy attachment on Clean Virizion and Enning.
Wow.
He does seem to have an N in hand. Oh, he opts to play the Juniper instead, realizing, I gotta get the energy.
I think he just discarded 3 ends.
Oh, I think I would have played the N just to, I gotta go on luck at this point, right? He's
Maybe.
definitely down.
I mean, you're only drawing 4 cards. You're in a pretty bad spot no matter what. But if Jason can find Lysander here, he can win the game maybe in a couple turns. Maybe Lysander, Hypnotoxic Laser, that'll do it.
Does he have a Lysander in hand?
I don't think he actually is pretty low on anything in his hand. He has a couple hammers, a 0-sick maybe. No
Here comes
Lysander,
the hammer.
Oh,
Oh, another heads.
This has been the game of the hammers.
So many times where it's like, oh, Jason, if he misses this hammer, I think he starts to fall apart.
And it may just be a matter of time before Quaking Punch takes over and gets that final knockout.
Oh, man. How many energy are in here again? We're having this conversation again. I feel like I'm on broken record. We've played 2 games and 1.
Pretty much. Yeah, I think Jason has a Hypnotoxic Laser, and he's just trying to figure out, do I want to play that now, put the pressure on, or do I want to use a wait for it, and then if I draw Lysander, I can bring up a damaged Genesect and win the game.
Yeah, I think he figures I'm just 1 Versus Seeker, Lysander, whatever, away from just winning.
Yeah, the other side to that, though, is if you do poison that Genesect EX and the Verbank doesn't leave play, then you could get knocked out in 2 turns.
Did Dane just retreat without... Yeah, there's no Sky Arrow right now.
Yeah, he's so used to having Sky Arrow Bridge in play.
So, no, I want to run. And
right,
Toe's saying, no, you're in my gym now. There's no escape.
This is my dojo.
Yeah, my gym, and I lift.
All right, so now Jason drew a Super Scoop Up. So this could allow him to use setup. I mean, maybe draw into that Lysander to win the game. It's an option.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly played himself into a winning position. Unbelievable with Seismitoad, but as Jason's showing, he likes to do the unbelievable.
Pretty much. He has run into a lot of unfavorable matchups throughout this top 8, and he's managed to topple all of them so far. Dane might be the roadblock that stands in his way that stops him from being the regional champion, but...
Super Scoop Tails.
Oh, jeez. That was going to be a big flip. If he can hit heads on the Crushing Hammer, though, this could be big.
Oh, I forgot he had that. My heart can only take so much.
This
Here we
is
go.
a huge flip. Crushing Hammer.
Oh,
Tails. You can see the look on Jason's face. He really wanted that one.
Oh, man. After all this time, it is still possible that Virizion gets ready and attacks.
Yeah, if Dane finds a Sky Arrow Bridge, retreats, and uses Emerald Slash, he'll get the knockout on the Seismitoad EX. And then next turn, all it takes is a Plasma Energy, Red Signal, one of those EXs, and Megalo Cannon for the game. So this could turn around just that quickly.
So the question is, how many Sky Arrow has Dane played? I know he's had them reset a lot. I know we've seen resets with the trump card. I wonder if he does have any left.
That's a good question.
He plays 3. I know he's at least had 2 discarded in recent
time
turns.
has been called. This might actually be the judge actually signaling that it might be turn 3 of time. Oh, man.
Oh, wow. There's Skyla. Oh, for the Sky Arrow Bridge, he's got it. So there was one left. Skyla has one last way of getting it. Jason could still potentially win this game if he can find a Lysander, but Dane's going to be able to tie the game up, forcing it to a sudden death scenario.
Wow, that is perfect timing for Dane, getting that Sky Arrow Bridge. Yeah, the rules for winning a game when time is called in Top Cut are a little strange. If there are at least 4 prizes taken by one player, the game will count. But if Dane takes the knockout here, we're going to tie the game 2-2, and its next prize wins.
And just seeing the board, both players have nothing but EXs. Even though we are in time, we're likely going to see a complete game. But game 3 then will be
sudden death.
Sudden death.
All right, so now, actually looks like Dane might be turn 2, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he did
Wait.
get the knockout. Wow, he missed the energy.
I thought he had a plasma hand. I must have. Did I see things? Did I imagine things?
I don't know what happened, but he did not take the knockout with Emerald Slash. Wow, this could be a game changer.
I'm so confused.
What is this life?
I don't know. He didn't attach this turn, right? Jason missed the hammer. I remember him wincing. Maybe he doesn't have the energy in hand that I thought was there.
Yeah, wow. Now this makes this much more complicated, actually. With that Sky Arrow Bridge in play, Jason could retreat to Shaman EX and deny the Emerald Slash knockout. Dane wouldn't be able to tie the game, and then we would go to game 3 because Jason's ahead on prizes after time is over.
Isn't that a plasma energy in his hand?
I don't know.
I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything, you know? There was information that maybe I didn't see.
I don't know what to tell you, Josh. It's been a long day. Maybe we missed something, or maybe Dane missed something.
It's been a long day, but when something this exciting happens and then it doesn't happen the way I planned, my brain is short-circuiting right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's confusing. Jason's going to versus Seeker for AZ, pick up that Seismitoad EX. Now he's got the question, who do I promote? He might, I think he might be better off just using Quaking Punch in that spot. You know, that way your opponent can't do anything crazy. But yeah, he's Sky Arrow Bridge, free retreat, puts up Seismitoad EX. He'll get the Quaking Punch for 30 damage. And I don't think Dane will have any way to take a knockout.
Yeah, then he just wins on time. And then we do go into sudden death.
What is happening here?
I see like multiple plasma energy in there. I don't know.
And that's it. Game 2's over. That means one game, one prize, sudden death.
Oh, man. Wow. Jason Klaczynski has done everything possible to put himself into a somewhat winning position. You know, Toad often takes the first match or the first KO here. It's just first knockout wins. That's it.
It's come down to this.
I'm so confused by that last turn. I'm gonna have to watch the replay and see what went down. You know, it's been a long day. Maybe I didn't see something. Maybe Dane didn't see something. But we're going to game 3, sudden death, a very unlikely one at that.
Maybe Dane just wants to make this a little more exciting. Let's make sudden death game 3. Let's do it.
That's not what I would want, but hey, you never know. Both these players shuffling up. I cannot believe how much Pokemon we've played. They're taking it to the brink, and we're going all the way. Yeah, first prize, and that's it. You don't play the rest of the game out. We've played enough Pokemon as is.
For those of you unfamiliar with how sudden death works, since time has been exhausted, both players will begin a new game with only one prize card. That's it. You don't put the 6 out like you regularly do, and it's just first knockout wins. It'll be a coin flip to decide who goes first. That's about it. First knockout, we have our champion.
Yeah, and we've seen it could very well be either player. Jason often likes to sort of grind out that first knockout, but his first 2 opposing Pokemon were Deoxys and Jirachi, Deoxys. Dane's certainly hoping he does not have to start with one of those. Yeah, or the Bouffalon.
With all the hammers and lasers and stuff, it is not unreasonable to think Jason could get the first knockout. He has in the first 2 games, but if Dane can take the first knockout, change the trend in this one, he will be regional champion. Couldn't get more exciting than this, Josh.
Oh, no. For this matchup, I mean, they've taken it to its limits. Both players are setting up. We're almost ready. The first knockout is the regional champion.
So hopefully we'll get that game up on the screen shortly. Jason Klaczynski and Dane Schussler. What an exciting final matchup we've seen here. Regional champion will be decided right here. One prize card. I think this is the first time we've had sudden death on our stream, too.
I know, right? Oh, man. I'm so nervous for both these players. Jason opening with a mulligan. I did not see the basic that Dane put down, did you?
I didn't see it.
Oh,
but he has a Genesect in his hand, so I'm going to assume it's Virgen EX.
Unless he's a madman and just, I'll start Jirachi.
I'll start Deoxys. I'll give you a fair chance.
Oh, man, there are no fair chances here in sudden death. You want to go cutthroat.
Oh, yeah. We've seen the big tournaments decided by sudden death before. Not too long ago, the World Championships was decided by a similar situation, and this regional championship as well. Oh, man. You got to think, after, 14 rounds of Swiss play, a top 8, a top 4, 2 brutal final games, it all comes down to a single prize card.
That is not how you want to end things, but in some ways, it's the best way to end things. It's the most exciting way to start things off.
Yeah, so whoever goes first should have a pretty big advantage, and we'll see who that is. I'm thinking it might be Jason, because Dane's opting to put an extra basic down.
Well, he got his favorite. Yeah, I'm wondering... Jason is pointing to it, of course. I wonder, do you want to bench the second Virgen yet?
You might, just because like this situation can happen. One of the most devastating things that could happen is if Jason plays an N. Both players would shuffle in and draw a card.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, in sudden death, it still applies as if both players have taken 5.
That's right.
Oh, N is the sudden death slayer.
Still a very strong start on Jason's side, though. He's able to get that double colorless energy, muscle band, and a head ringer onto the active Virgen EX. Plays a Professor Sycamore. He does have a hypnotoxic laser he can play. Definitely going to do that.
Yeah, you can do that until Virgen gets the grass energy. Heads on the flip, too.
That's right. And, having 2 Virgen EX in play is going to be pretty big for Dane. He can put down Sky Arrow Bridge and retreat to the one without the head ringer at any point. Looks like Jason's playing an Ultra Ball. Did he discard 2 more lasers?
It looks like he did. Figured, well, that was my laser chance. I need to start digging.
Yeah, and he may be digging for another Shaman EX. He only plays 2 head ringer, but if he can find the second one, head ringer, both of those Virgen EX, that could be big.
So here he goes. Yeah, just looking through. I mean, both players can sort of take their time. They can take their time physically, but in terms of the game, you want to play your cards in the fastest way to get a knockout.
Right. I mean, one of the funny things about sudden death, normally you have 6 prize cards and you have to look through and see what your 6 prize cards are. You look through your deck, see, all right, what's missing. Sudden death, you have 1 prize, so you have 59 of your 60 cards available to you. But sometimes that 1 prize card can be the one card you want.
Yeah, it can be tough, but at the moment, both players are playing with a mostly full arsenal.
Yeah. So we do see the Ultra Ball for that Shaman EX. This is still Jason's first turn. He will not be able to use Quaking Punch. So Dane will have a chance to play his item cards out and maybe get some muscle bands or maybe that Tool Retriever.
Yeah, anything to bump. If you can bump that Flare Tool, that's great. He does only run the 1, but maybe he can Skyla for it. We'll have to see. I do see, I think he's holding a G-Booster. Would love to see a G-Boostered Virgen.
Oh yeah, that'd be perfect. Here is the first setup for Jason. He's going to use that for 3 cards on this ability.
Oh, he got the second Flare Tool.
Oh, that could be big.
Doubling up.
Yeah, that actually turns into an interesting choice. If he puts it down and Dane has
the Tool Retriever.
Yeah, both your head ringers are just gone. If you don't do it and Dane has a tool, well, then you don't get to play the head ringer. And there you go. There it is. That seems like the better option. But the third scenario is Dane can get a 3rd Virgen EX and just start powering that one up.
Yeah, I mean, he can go many ways. And if he's only putting Virgen down and nothing else, Jason's still, it's going to take him a long time to find a knockout.
So here's Seismitoad EX going down and a Shaman EX once again for setup, drawing 3 more cards. Do you see Skrelp? I don't think Jason wants to put that down. You don't want to put down any basic that's easy to knock out in a sudden death scenario.
Oh no, yeah, Skrelp can just get eaten by something.
Even an Emerald Slash with a muscle band can knock out poor little Skrelp.
Yeah, Jason taking no risks here. No play. I mean, you have to risk trying to grab the knockout, but you don't want to put yourself in a spot where you yourself get knocked out.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is he's probably digging for an N. If he can play an N next turn, oh boy, he can turn this game into, top deck mode. And I think, given this matchup, if he can take a game to something as luck-based as just who top decks better, that's actually really big for him.
He passes. It seems the Virgen does stay asleep at the moment. Let's see what Dane has to work with.
Yeah, he has a Skyla. That's huge. As long as his 1 prize card isn't Professor's Letter, he'll be able to grab 2 energy this turn.
Yeah, or Tool Retriever he could also grab as well.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Not sure if he has an energy in hand or not. Obviously, wants one. But in a way, getting rid of the tool is, I guess, an energy.
Kind of, yeah. If he has both Tool Retriever and an energy card, that is the perfect first turn. And Jason
Jason like,
It's like, come on, who plays
the
that?
pink hand, the blue hand, both of them slapping the flare tools away.
Yeah, in general, in Expanded, yeah, Jason's pointing
What
to
if
the
that
prize
was your
card.
one prize, huh?
Yeah. In Expanded, people usually opt to play Tools Scrapper, since you can discard flare tools from your own side anyway, and also discard tools off your opponent's side. Maybe Dane opting for the Tool Retriever, since he could attach a G-Booster to a Virgen and then pick it up later.
Yeah, I've seen that as sort of a cute little trick play. I prefer the Scrapper myself, but yeah, here we see a G-Booster. I don't think he has the second tool yet to fully prevent it, but Jason's not seeing those flare tools back until he plays some kind of trump card.
Yikes, only one energy, or no energy at all for Dane.
Oh, and a pass.
He was able to get the Tool Retriever. Like you said, removing those head ringers is basically an energy attachment, since you only have to pay 2 instead of 3 now, but man, it seems like a big missed opportunity.
Yeah, it's Jason's world now. Let's see. If he can find the N, what's Dane going to do?
Yeah, well, I think he needs a Verbank City Gym to stop that free retreat. If he can find Verbank and N, put both players at 1 card, oh, that's going to be tough for Dane. He's going to have a very short amount of time to draw something.
I can only imagine how heartbreaking it is. I mean, this is a matchup that should just be automatic, but somehow after a long and grueling set of games, you found yourself losing one of them, and now you're in sudden death.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you what kind of a player Jason Klaczynski is. You don't get to be 3-time world champion without being one of the best, and he's definitely made a lot of great decisions in these games, taking a really bad matchup and making it as close as possible.
And I've heard Jason talking with a lot of his friends, and they're all like, oh, good game. Thanks for playing. Congrats on second place.
Yeah.
Jason maybe wanting to prove them wrong, showing you can do anything with a full head of steam.
Yeah. I mean, to his credit, he's never a player who gives up. Always looks for any possible way to win. I've played against him a few times where he's found ways I would have never even thought of. He'll pass in weird spots where you think you should be attacking. So finds ways out. He seems to be in good shape here, but again, Dane has those 2 Virgen EX. They're going to take forever to knock out.
Yeah, I mean, all Jason can do is just try and buy himself time. Dane and no energy is not that great of an equation.
Yeah. Now, something cool that Jason could do if he finds an N, instead of going for Quaking Punch, he could actually use Shaman Sky Return. That way, if he gets an N and a double colorless energy, he would be doing the same amount of damage, and then he would have a Shaman for next turn to give himself 6 more cards with setup.
Yeah.
So that's a potential situation.
He definitely, he does need something like a super scoop up beforehand to play that combo, but it is a fun one.
Yeah. Even with the Sky Arrow Bridge, he could potentially retreat with the 2 energy on Seismitoad and pull that off. And I think he may have drawn the N.
I'm not 100% sure on the N. I am 100% sure on the Verbank City Gym, though. Something he also wanted. Yeah, I don't know what that card is in the middle of his hand.
I think it's an N. We could be seeing this go down to the ultimate sudden death. Both players with 1 card.
This is the end.
He's debating whether or not he wants to put down Absol. It has 100 HP, so it's not entirely difficult to knock out, but it's also not going to be knocked out anytime soon. It's also a card he wouldn't want to draw off of an N.
Oh, he's got it. He has it for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. The thing, he's in a favorable position now, but you can always, you play.
Oh, he's just going to go for the Quaking Punch.
Can you imagine the world, he ends, he draws nothing, and then Dane gets a Juniper or something? It can happen. It's such a risk. Dane draws, an energy. Well,
hey,
for that
plays
last
those.
turn.
We're going to see Stellar Guidance.
Jirachi's scary because it has such low hit points.
Yeah, especially with Absol in Jason's deck.
Yeah, it's just a Lysander, Absol attack.
That may have opened the door for Jason to win this tournament.
He really wanted to retreat that badly, I guess.
I mean, all it takes is an Absol, a Super Scoop Up, and then a Lysander for the game.
Yeah.
Or even Absol, Lysander, Laser. There are a lot of combinations where Absol can knock out that Jirachi.
Hasn't he telegraphed, too, thinking about benching the Absol at one point? You know it's there.
I think maybe we've seen that it's an Absol, but I don't think Dane knows.
You never know on the full angles. Oh, boy, this could be game right here.
Does Jason have all the cards to pull this off?
I see Absol and Lysander already in there.
He doesn't have enough bench spots to play another Shaman, though.
That's true. It's so close, but that's always going to be something that's available to Jason for the rest of the game.
Right. So we're waiting patiently. Here is that crushing hammer. This is going to be a huge flip, and it gets a
Oh
heads.
my goodness. I actually think Jason's going to do it.
It's certainly looking like he is the one in control right now. Dane's hopes of winning the tournament are slipping with each crushing hammer. Can Seismitoad pull the ultimate upset?
Oh man. I mean, if anyone can do it, it's Jason. But even if he does do it, people will be talking about it for quite some time. It's not often you get to fight through your auto loss.
Right. Now, Jason has some other cards he could play here. If he has a Lysander and a Versus Seeker, he may just go for the Jirachi EX, Quaking Punch, and then next turn if he has Versus Seeker, he can just win the game with a second
it's
Quaking
like,
Punch.
Hey, I have another Lysander I can do next turn. Oh boy. If I was Dane, I think I might have just played Juniper and hoped to draw the stadium.
Yeah, Jirachi EX has a bullseye on its head. Jason's going to think about using Absol here with Cursed Eyes. Seems like a good move.
I think I would play it just on the off chance that Dane top decks N and crushes your heart. He does play 3 of them.
An Ultra Ball that could get him a Shaman EX. No, he can't play Ultra Ball.
Nope. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Wait. He
Oh.
can't. He can't. No, don't do it. Don't end it like this, Dane.
There's the Professor Juniper. Gonna draw fresh 7 cards. I don't know if Dane has a way to prevent the incoming Lysander, though.
No way. He needed an N.
Well, he could Red Signal. He could bring out Seismitoad EX.
Yeah, it's something. Jason has everything, though. He's put himself in a winning position. I can't believe it, but it is happening.
I think if you're Dane, you have to assume if Jason's going for that play, he has Versus Seeker. He has Lysander to beat you next turn. You need to take this chance. Red Signal out that Seismitoad EX. Hope he can't Quaking Punch.
Oh, boy, and I don't know what Jason has, but...
He
no!
puts the energy on the Virgen EX, and
That's
that might
the
be
game. Versus Seeker, Lysander, Jirachi puts it away. Jason does the impossible.
Jason Klaczynski is your 2015 Madison, Wisconsin Pokemon TCG regional champion, adding yet another tournament win to his resume.
Is this real life?
It's Seismitoad's world, Josh. We're just living in it.
Oh, man. And I can only imagine so many players hoping, like, please crush the Toad. Please don't encourage this behavior.
Yeah.
But, hey, in a disruption-based format, the disruption's so good.
Yeah, with each new set that comes out, we get the question, is Seismitoad still as good as we think it is? Is Seismitoad still good? We have all these powerful cards in Roaring Skies, and the answer is Seismitoad's still pretty good.
Oh, it's still good. It's doubly good because you get to play through your whole deck twice with Trump Card. Sometimes 3, 4 times.
Lysander's Trump Card, Crushing Hammer, Hypnotoxic Laser, they all combine with Seismitoad EX. Congratulations to Jason on this big win. I think this is the first time he's won a regional championship in like 7 years, so he'll probably be happy to finally win one of these again. He's actually won more world championships in that period of time than regional championships.
He always says, like, I always win the big one, but I'd like to have a good season along the way, and he's finally done it.
Yeah, and this will go a long way for Jason because that earns him 150 championship points. He was already in a pretty good position, had a lot of championship points. Now that'll probably catapult him all the way into the top 16 of the ratings.
Yeah, and when you get that free trip to Nationals, it's pretty nice.
Not only that, you get a 2-round bye at the National Championships.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a better chance at Nationals. Then after Nationals, if you're still in the top 16, you get that World Second Day goodness.
Wow, so, I mean, with all these creative strategies we've seen over the weekend, at the end of the day, one attack takes Jason Klaczynski to the championship.
Quaking punch.
All credit to Dane there, though, making it to the finals. Battling his heart out. I mean, it's got to be devastating for him to get that close. I mean,
to a Toad of all things.
Yeah.
That's why you play the Genesect in Virgen. But,
yeah, losing in a sudden death, that's about as heartbreaking as it gets. But congratulations. Second place, still a great prize, still get a lot of championship points, and he'll also earn a 2-round bye at the National Championships.
We'll be having a few words with Jason Klaczynski to talk to him about his regional championship. So we'll see you guys in just a second.
2015 Wisconsin Regional Championship. I am Kyle Pukasukovic, joined by 3-time world champion and regional champion Jason Klaczynski.
And regional champion. It's like a bonus.
Yeah. Jason, how you feeling after getting this big win?
Oh, good, relieved. There were so many tense moments of that game. So it was so stressful, so many nerve-wracking moments, so many huge crushing hammers, so many huge super
Oh yeah.
scoop ups. And some important ones I got, some unimportant ones I got, then some important ones I missed. I remember there was a really big one in the end of game two, and he had 10 cards in his hand, and I cambered, I got tails. I'm like, oh, here comes the Emerald Slash. And Dane actually didn't have an energy in his hand. He sent up the Virgen. I'm like, here comes the Emerald Slash. And then he looked at me and goes, pass.
Man, yeah, that was a crazy series. I mean, heading into it, what did you think your chances were? I mean, you're going up against Virgen Genesect, typically not a good matchup.
I played that match a lot, and it's actually knocked me out of top 8 multiple times over the last year. And, I'm not happy about playing Virgen Genesect, but in 2 out of 3, a lot of crazy things happen because if you have 2 long games, and Seismitoad versus Virgen Genesect does have very long games considering all the crushing hammers and flare grunts and quaking punches put together, you might have some unpredictable game 3. And unpredictability benefits me because overall that match is, probably favors the Virgen Genesect side.
Sure.
So I don't mind a sudden death with 1 prize because it gives me a chance to get lucky versus a 6 prize game. Well, then I got to get really lucky.
Yeah. So, I mean, throughout this top 8, seems like you were facing some pretty tough matchups. Top 4 took down that Aromatisse deck. What was going through your head in that game in top 4 with that super scoop up? I mean, you had that one card, and if you hit heads on the super scoop up, you pick up the Shaman, you draw it till you have 6. If you don't, you have nothing. You flip the heads.
Yes. That's when I played my hand down to 0 after the Lysander to knock out the. Well, I think I was rooting for heads if I had to guess. I just made sure I had my Fennekin coin for that one. I would not flip anything other than the Fennekin coin for that. Right? That's my lucky coin.
Yeah, when you needed it, Super Scoop Up has been a pretty good friend to you, and Crushing Hammer hasn't been too bad either. At this point, you have 150 more championship points to add to your resume. Where does that put you right now in the ratings?
I'm not sure. I actually haven't been obsessing over the points because whatever it is, it's not like I'm going to see points like, oh, now my strategy is to try to win more. I'm going to come to every tournament. I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to try to win as many games as I can. So I'm just going to as many tournaments as I can, playing my best, and at the end, I'll look at how many points I have and hope I have enough to get something good.
Yeah, now, Seismitoad EX, you've been a big fan of this card throughout the entire season. You switched to Exeggutor for a little while, but what made you go back to Seismitoad for this regional championship?
Well, I think Exeggutor is just going to get blown up if I tried that today. Shaman EX is in everybody's deck, and that card just destroys Exeggutor. You might stop them from playing a supporter, but if they can draw, 6 cards off a setup, Exeggutor's not doing anything. Not to mention they can Sky Return, and you're sitting there doing 10, 30 damage, and there's no way to deal with it. So had to give up on Exeggutor, and that took me right back to Seismitoad. Shaman obviously just pairs so well with the deck because you have so many items that you could deplete your hand with, get the most out of setup. Seismitoad also isn't a deck that needs other Pokemon on the bench to support it.
Sure.
I did have a Dragalge and Absol on my deck, but it's not like an Aromatisse deck, where your bench spots are like, oh, I need to have my Aromatisse and I need to have, say, Darkrai or Malamar if we look at the deck that I played against in top 4. So everything just works for those cards. They're very synergetic. But most importantly, the reason I like the deck is because it's good in 2 out of 3. It is not a slow deck. And if we get down to top cut and we're playing a game 3 low on time, I'd like to have a deck that can get the first prize. And that's something I think I made a mistake with earlier in the season. I played a lot of very slow decks. I played Aromatisse, and I played what else did I play? I know I played an Aromatisse deck and some other slow deck where I would play in top 8, go 1-1, time would be called, or we'd have 5 minutes left, and you're just in a tough spot trying to get the first prize with some of these slower decks. So
yeah, we were talking about that. You not only have to beat your opponent in these kind of situations, you also have to kind of beat the clock sometimes.
Yeah.
And we saw you took it to sudden death that game 3, and hey, it's just 1 prize, and you managed to take it first. Now let's talk about Absol. I remember a couple of years ago at the World Championships, Absol, you were pretty adamant about not
this
playing
is a
that
different
card.
Absol. He's not the same. Don't talk to him like that.
I mean, obviously it's a great ability. Cursed Eyes, we saw it all those years ago with Absol EX. It was featured in so many popular decks. 3 damage counters, not as big as it used to be, but I mean, that card came up big for you several times.
Yeah, well, I got 2 things I could say about it. First of all, it's great to have, but the reason I was apprehensive putting my deck at first is because you just want your bench to be full of Shamans. Setup is just so good that you want to have 4 Shamans on your bench. You want to draw those items. You want to draw your hammers, your energy, your supporters, everything. So you really don't have much bench room for that Absol, especially when you have Dragalge. And the reason I ended up adding it, I was actually playing a game online, and somebody owned me with a Shedinja deck. deck. They got the 30 hit point Shedinja. I'd like, oh, Quaking Punch the Mew, and he just attacks with Shedinja's attack. I was like, 200 and what? And I realized I couldn't beat it. So I was like, what can I add to beat that deck? So my plan was to use Absol to move 30 damage and knock a Shedinja off the bench, even though nobody plays this deck. But so whoever beat me with that deck online, I could give credit to, because they really lit the fire on me. I was like, oh, I'm gonna show that Shedinja.
Wow, Shedinja causes the regional championship win with Absol.
Yes, it sure did. But it's a great ability, and one of my favorite strategies with the deck is to try to manipulate damage to force my opponent to pass into a knockout, rather than take a knockout, have them promote, and have the option to attack. And Absol is just one more way that allows you to manipulate that math. You also have a couple cool tricks where I picked off a Spritzy with it, using Super Scoop Up, relay it, and use the ability twice, move 60 damage. So that's kind of a cool trick. With Super Scoop Up, it just seemed like it was worth the spot.
Absolutely. So,
absolutely.
Yes. Overused that joke today. So at this point, going forward, this is the first tournament we've had with Roaring Skies. Do you see